Namaskaram everyone. Welcome back to the 35th episode of our Master Unreal series. So in this episode, I'm going to show you how you can use timeline to open your door with the door opening animation that we have for our character. In the last two episodes, we saw how to open the door from front and back. Provided the mesh and the animations on Discord, you can download it from there. The joining link is in description. Everything is completely free. All you have to do is just join the server. Apart from this, if you haven't watched the previous episode, I highly recommend you do that because everything is connected with the last two episodes of our interaction system. The door blueprint, positioning the actor, using the mirroring, everything is done in the last two episodes. In this episode, I'm specifically going to show you how you can open the door in parallel when you are performing the door opening animation from your character. So without wasting any time, let's get started. All right, so we are in our editor now. So to open the door, we need the animation. In the characters, mannequins, animations, under the actions, you will find door open outwards. So this is the animation that we are going to use. Make sure the root motion, force root lock, and the normalized root motion is checked. Now I will create a montage and I'll move this inside the montages. Okay. So this is our montage that we are going to play when we want to open the door. Let's close it. Go back in the content, search for door. This is the single door blueprint. So this is the logic that we did in the last two episodes. We simplified it. Right now the character plays an animation which is performed when your door is locked. So we'll create a variable b is locked. Now we will use the mirroring logic as it is because this animation can also be performed from front and back. So the positioning, mirroring and animation tag logic will remain same. It's all about whether the door is locked or not. So I'll break this sequence node and I'll use a branch node and I'll check if the branch is locked. Then I will play this animation montage, and if the door is not locked, so I'll just right click and search for play montage. Connect this and search for door outwards montage, and we need the skeleton mesh component. So character and get the mesh, connect it, and we have our animation ready. Cool. Now if I compile, and right now it is false, so it will play the opening animation. If I go play and press E, you can see it is performing the full animation of opening and closing, but we are not going to consider the close part. So I'll open my door opening montage, and in this I'm going to change the end time to, let's say, 2, and now it only plays the door opening animation. So you can control where to start the animation and where to end the animation. So the total length is 4.1. You can always reset it from here. Now you can see it plays the full animation, but we do not want that. We only want the animation up to this point. Okay, so I'll go for end time 2. Okay, so it leaves the door and the door goes to its end position. And now if I play, press E, you can see it only performs the door opening animation, but it is little slow. So I would suggest making its play rate to 1.5. Okay, compile and play. Now it is much faster. So you don't want, if an enemy is rushing towards you and you are taking a sweet time to open the door. So we do not want that. So I have considered 1.5 play rate. When we say open the door, that means press E. I have to rotate it along the Z axis. You can see here it is 35 degrees. So when the character opens the door should be rotated like this up to let's say 90 degrees. All right. So how do we do that? Let's reset the rotation first. So for this, I'll go to my door open animation montage. And here we will drag this slider, not this one, the red one. So this is the point at 0.75. The character grabs the handle. So from this point onwards, we should start moving the door as well as per the hand. Okay. And as soon as it reaches 2, the door yaw should become 90 degrees. It should be opened fully. Okay. So we have to notify that we have reached to this frame. That means the character has reached to the handle. So in the notifies, I'll add a notify and I'll right click, set its time to 0.75. Okay. And I can save. Now this notify begin will give us that notification. Now see, there is only one notification, so you can directly code the logic. But if you have more than one notification, then you have to use this notify name to check which notification it is. So in our case, there is no such situation. We just have one notification. So we will receive the notification and then we will rotate the door. So for this, we will use something called as timeline. And timeline allows you to get values from a curve. So if I double click on this, I can create a curve. I want a float track. Why float? Because if I go to my single door and I select viewport, now I want to rotate its mesh. If I just rotate this door mesh, that is classroom door, the handle will stay as it is. So that's the reason we created this scene component. In the scene component, you can have multiple child components, and applying any rotation or location on this scene will affect the child as well. So if I select this door and now if I rotate my handle and my door is also rotating. So this rotation, this one, it's a float value. So that's the reason we created the float track. Okay. If I go to viewport and reset it to 0, come back. And now if I open this, you can see it is from 0 to 1. However, you can go more, but going 0 to 90 is not a good option. So instead what we will do, we will go from 0 to 1, but we will multiply it by 90. But first, before this, we will be notified here at 0.75. So how much time we are left with? So if I check this, the total length of this entire animation is 2 seconds. We are being notified at 0.75. That means we are left with 1.25 seconds. So that means I have to go from 0 to 90 degrees. This is my door. I have to go from 0 to 90 degrees in 1.25 seconds. So I'll change the length of this curve to 1.25. Okay, now it will continuously, it will give us values till it reaches 1.25 seconds, starting from 0, of course. So initially the rotation will be 0, and you can name this curve by renaming here, that is door yaw. Because remember, it's the z-axis that we are rotating, which is called yaw. So that's the reason I named it door yaw. And now I will add a key at 0. You can use these two boxes to put precise values. Okay, so we will start from 0 and we will reach to 1 in 1.25 seconds. So I'll add another key at 1.25 and the value would be 1. So this is how the value will be increasing as the time passes by. So once we are being notified at 0.75, we will start picking up the door yaw value from this curve. You can see value 0.65, 0.7, which will be emitted from this particular pin. And this update pin will be fired every second. So you will get the values every second. Okay. So to set that value to the door's rotation, I will just bring this door and I'll use set relative rotation. I'll split this and I only care about yaw because I just want to rotate it along z-axis. And whatever the XY was, I will just keep it as it is. So I'll get the rotation. I'll split this and I'll plug XY here. And let's add a print node to see how much the value is changing. So I'll take this door yaw and I'll plug it in the in string. If I play now and I pull the door, you can see it was changing from 0 to 1. But this is not the rotation we want. We want in terms of 0 to 90. So this is like a percentage. 0.2 means 20%, 0.3 means 30%, and like this. So I will get this yaw and I'll multiply it with 90 degrees. So I'll call multiply and I'll multiply it by 90. So 0.1 means 10% of 90, 0.2 means 20% of 90, and 1 means 100% of 90, which means 90. So you start from 0 and you go up to 90. But the way to go is by doing percentages. Let's bring the value here, connects, and then play again. Press E. You can see it goes from 0 to 90. But now the door rotation is not syncing with my hand. So this is where you have to add custom keys, or I must say you must use keys to adjust. First you start slow, then you go with a certain speed. So we have to adjust that behavior. So if you observe the behavior from here, you see the door opening is little slow, and then as soon as the force is applied, it opens with a full velocity. Okay, so we have to adjust the rotation speed like this by adding keys here. I'll show you. But before this, let's reset the door's location once it is open and the interaction is over. So when the interaction is over, I'll get the door and I will set the relative rotation, split, connect, and get the relative rotation. Split this. X goes in X, Y goes in Y, and Z remains as it is. So we will close the door, or basically reset the rotation and the mirroring and everything once the door is fully open. Okay. So in this case, I will use this finish node and I'll call on interact over. Okay. Now if you compile, and now once the door is fully open, you can see it shuts back. Now we should add some delay. However, we should not put this relative rotation with this, because we want our character to become movable as soon as the animation is over. So we will not set this relative rotation in this particular logic. Otherwise, till this door opening is not done, you have to wait. And we do not want to shut the gate immediately. We would like to wait for 0.2 seconds or 5 seconds. So meanwhile, we don't want our character to get stuck. So that's the reason we should not place this relative rotation here. So that's what I wanted to show. So I'll create a custom event, close door. Okay. And I'll break this pin. I'll break this too. Bring it here. Connect this. Okay. And interact over when it is interrupted or when it is completed. Only in these two cases. Once the door is fully open, we would like to wait for 0.2 seconds and then we would like to close the door. Okay. Now if I compile and play, go back to my door, press E, you see it is open. And you can change the delay to 2 seconds. And now if I compile and play, press E, you can see my door is open. Now it waits for 1 or 2 seconds and now it closes. Okay, so this is how you tackle the door. Now we need to adjust how it should be played. So I'll show you by adding some markers and controlling its speed. Technically, we are not controlling the speed. We are just controlling the rotation. So let's just say that. But theoretically, we are controlling the speed. So in this door opening, we would like to take our sweet time. So I'll add a key and in 0.25 seconds, I do not want to reach 0.21. Instead, I'll reduce its value, let's say 0.10. Okay. Now in the third person character, I don't know how many of you are following the series, but there is something we did for controlling the time. You can create a key and then you can tweak the time dilation. So set global time dilation allows you to slow down the time. 0.2 slowing a lot, 1 means completely normal. So we will hold Alt to see how much the door should be opened in first few seconds. So if I press E and hold Alt, I can see door is slow. So that means we have to increase the speed. So I'll increase the speed a little let's say here. Okay. Now if I play again, press E, you can see it is fast, but we need it more faster. So I'll go more, let's say 0.5. Press E again. Now it is too fast, so I should reduce. So let's keep it like this. Okay, this is good, but it should increase a little faster. So I'll add another key at 0.75 and I'll keep it here. So this is how you modify your curve value. First, it increases a little fast. Then it's also increasing fast, but it takes time. So now if I play, press E. Okay, it is opening fast. So we need to keep this momentum, but we need to take a little more time. So shift it in the horizontal. That means you are going to increase, but you are going to take time to reach this 0.5. That means 45 degrees. So the 45 degrees will be covered in zero point 0.4 seconds. And before we play, I would like to set this duration to 0.1 because we do not want to wait for our door to be closed. Uh, and now if I press E, you can see it is good, but as soon as I pull, it takes time. So what I'll do, I'll just push it up. Okay, that means in a very small amount of time, you reach 0.9. That means 90%. I'll just say 0, 1, 2, 3 instead of saying 0 0.1, 0 0.2. I think it will be easy for us. So from 0 to 3 seconds, in 3 seconds you covered 50% of the rotation. But here from 3 to 7, you almost covered 90%. So if I play now, press E, you can see it is still slow. So what I'll do, I'll reduce the time. I want to reach 90% real fast, so I'll reduce the distance between these two keyframes. That means less amount of time. It will go faster. You see, like this. If I take it somewhere here, it will take long time. If I take it here, then it will go fast. Okay, so I'll keep this right here. Compile, play, press E. Okay. So now I'm going to leave this to you guys to play around, but I'll provide the default values directly here because I think the concept is pretty clear. So I'll just provide you the values. And before you try on your own, I would like to address this one more issue. Let's say if you try and the door closes, and if you try again, it's weird. That's because this door opening has to be reset once the door is successfully open. So this new time, set new time, this is the pin that has to be triggered so that this door opening curve comes at 0. Okay. So when the door is closed, I would like to go here and then connect it here. So what this will do, first it creates a delay, then it closes the door, and after closing it also reset the curve value to 0. So now it will start from 0 second. And now if you compile and play, press E, press E again, it opens fine. Okay, so now you can try and figure out the curve, and now I'll tell you the values. Okay, so these are the 3 points. First you will start at 0, 0. Then you will start at 0.37. Let me hard code. And 0.55. So in 0.037 seconds, you will cover 55% of rotation. Then from 0.37 to 0.87, you will make it 1. That means you will make it 90 degrees completely. And in the remaining few seconds of, let's say, 0.35, it will be 90 degrees. We will not change it. So I'll play now. If I go in my front, press E, you can see the animation. But if I go back and then I try to open, you can see it is opening on the other side. So the reason is the door rotation was positive in this case. But when you are opening it from back, we have to rotate it in the negative direction. So basically in the opposite side. However, this goes like this. Do you see in negative? So we have to multiply it by -1 if you are opening from back. So I'll add another pin. And now we need to know if you are standing at front or back. So I'll go back to my logic. And this time I'll create a variable. B is at front. And then I'm going to save this result here and break these two pins. Get this one, connect it here. Okay. So now we know whether you are standing at front or not. We'll bring it here and we will select float. So if you are standing at front, then nothing. That is A. We will go positive. If you are not at front, that means you are at back. So we'll go negative and we'll multiply it here. Okay. So the rotation values will go as it is, and the negative sign will decide in which direction we have to rotate. Okay. And now if I play and try to open it from back, it opens perfectly fine. If I go at front, it opens perfectly fine. And let's try again to see how the movement happens for the door. Look at it. Okay. So it looks perfectly in sync. Again, if you want way too much precision, then you should use animation or level sequences, which we will cover in future. But to prevent our user to look at this kind of detail, we just go to our third person character, and this should use controller rotation. Let's plug it back so you can no longer move your mouse when you are opening the door. So press E. Now you cannot move the mouse, and now you can. And if I play it from front, which is the mirroring case, you can see it was very spontaneous when it comes back to the idle stage. So to avoid this flickering, what we will do is go to our animations under the characters mannequins, open the ABP base. So here with the mirror with mirror data table, you are setting it immediately. There is no blending involved. So this is the use case or requirement where you have to blend in the previous pose into the new pose. So to do this, right now it's happening very instantly. So we will use blending. For this, I'll call blend pose by bool. Okay. But it requires two poses, the one you were in and now the second in which you want to blend in. So the pose is same. We are just using mirroring. So we have to avoid that. So I'll first break this node and I will cache it. So this is the final pose, which will be used for normal purpose. And if you mirror, then we will provide the same pose to this table so that it can mirror and produce the new pose, right? So first, let's break this pin and plug it here instead. And the output pose will be coming from this. And now you will use the cached pose, that is final pose, plug it here and duplicate it and plug it here, then plug this one here. What does this mean is, if you want to mirror, then true pose will be the one that will be selected. So you will take this final pose and you will mirror it. This is set to true by default, and this will give you the mirrored pose. But if you do not want to play the mirror pose or you turn it off, this will pick the false pose, which is nothing but the normal final pose. Okay, no mirroring is applied. But the idea is, if you switch between these two by toggling this should mirror variable, then we want certain level of blending happening. Okay, so you can increase the blend in time to 0.2. Okay, so that you can observe that smoothness. I will compile and play again. Now if you go back, press E, it is smoother now. Okay. Okay, so let's try the other way around. If I rotate my door, this one, to 90 degrees, let's set minus 90 here. Okay, now if I play, open it up, it opens absolutely fine and it resets back. Try again. Okay, so this is how you use the timeline, and you can use this timeline in many scenarios. One of the scenarios could be a lift where you go inside, then it starts going up. So you can tweak its Z value. So we will do all these examples and fancy stuff and we'll do the level design. But in this episode, I particularly wanted to tell how you can use the door timeline and their curves to get what you want with respect to time and your requirements. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Do let me know if you have any thoughts, suggestions, or hurdles in the YouTube comment sections. You can also join the Discord community. I provided the link in description. You can also download the assets from there. It is completely free. So in the next episode, I will introduce another scenario of our interaction system, that is to push certain items. So we will hold our action key to push the item aside. So that is the target of our next episode in this interaction system series. So stay tuned, like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and take care. I'll see you in the next video.